my biggest problem in the industry right now is organization.
Got it.
So anything I can do when I see a little bit of organization notes, I'm kind of jumping on it right now. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
perfect. Awesome. Well, this one you might like. Have you ever heard of sphere of influence? Have you ever heard of watered down SOI versus non-watered down SOI? Has anyone ever talked about that
Well,
to you?
I understand. I understand sphere. I don't
Yeah.
understand watered down.
Perfect. Love it. Because I'm gonna talk about that today. All right,
Okay.
so there's a difference between watered down SOI, just a brief description, and then I'll get into more detail on it. The difference between watered down SOI and non-watered down SOI is simply this. If you go to the supermarket and you see a good friend and you walk up to him and say, "Hey Joe, how have you been?" Or you go to church and you shake hands with some people when you're walking in the door, but you don't know their name. You go in and you sit with some friends or something, you know their names. That's the difference. Watered down SOI is a database full of a bunch of names of people that you really don't know by name, you don't know by face. If you ran into them in the supermarket, you would be like, "Gosh, I remember that person, but I don't know who they are." That's watered down SOI. The goal is to, as real estate agents, as any business professional, is to have more non-watered down SOI. Those are more, the more people you have in that database that are organized people that you know by name and they know you by name, the more you know them, the more you're going to sell. Because, just a database full of a bunch of watered down people is so unorganized, it's stressful. It's crazy stressful. It's like, I don't even know where to start. I have so many people in here and I don't know who they are. So our goal is to take them and segregate them. And I can also show you how to segregate them into a simple follow-up plan you can do every day. And with that everyday follow-up plan, it's easy to start nurturing those people that are watered down and turn them into non-watered down. That's the goal. So I'm going to show you a little kind of a printout here. And then you might see my dogs with me today. He just walked around the back of the video here. So why this matters, okay? Watered down versus non-watered. Most agents say that they have a sphere of influence, but what they really have is a phone full of names. An old CRM,
Customer relations.
customer relations, client relations management
Yep.
system, anything like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Bold Trail, it's a CRM. And our goal is to add more names to it with non-watered down SOI. So social media followers that maybe we don't know who they all are because people just randomly saw I was a friend of a friend and they friend requested me. Okay. A few past clients, you haven't communicated with them consistently. So you kind of, you know who they are. You just maybe haven't talked to them. So you're new in the business. It could be last job you were working. A bunch of
Yeah,
people, you haven't talked to them in
absolutely.
a long time. Yep,
Yep.
exactly. And that otherwise it's just a bunch of watered down. So a strong SOI makes a huge difference in a very strong career. I'll tell you this, it's like a light switch. Some agents, it takes over a year, that light switch switches, and all of a sudden the phone calls start coming into you, not as many active outbound. It's like a water faucet. In the beginning, you need to call everyone and tell them you're a realtor. That faucet's open, wide open. Nurturing relationships. After a while, that SOI becomes a tighter SOI, less watered down, and your phone just starts ringing. It's so fun when that happens. Sometimes it takes 2 years. Sometimes it takes 3 months. Sometimes it takes a month. I've seen people close 55 transactions in their first year. Brand new, no experience. It was a hot market. It was a neutral market, plenty of listings, plenty of buyers, low interest rates. Okay. But I've also seen people close one or zero their first year. It all depends on how organized you are and how structured you are in your daily follow-up plan. All right, so let's jump into this a little more. We have watered down, we have non-watered down, we have COI, circle of influence, which is the high trust, high reach, high persons that are in there. I bring this out quite often. I don't know if you can see it, but these are my biggest fans. These are people that I put on this list. I'm going to undo my screen for a second. These are people that I put on my list that I know I need to follow up with daily, if not at minimum weekly. These are my most important people that I'm going to be selling house. Some of these are in California, some of them are in Idaho, California, Idaho and California, California and Idaho. So they're different. This one over here is in California. So they're different, but these are my biggest fans. So I've got to have them segregated into a pipeline portal. I use the whiteboard. I also use a CRM. of course, but these are the ones I want to make sure I can see them when I walk into my office. I know I need to check in with them and see how they're doing. They're my biggest sphere of influence. I'm going to show you another one right now. This one is quite fun. You might really like this one. It's a little easier to follow. This comes
So I have a
from,
question.
yeah, go for it.
So if you have a hot prospect, someone that is not on a piece of paper yet, but you know that you got to work them, you actually keep that written on a whiteboard in your office.
I do. Yeah.
That is genius. I
Yes.
love it.
Some people
That-
use pad of paper. Some people use, let's just go back to the old school real estate. When I started real estate, there was no CRMs. Okay.
Yeah.
So back then we had a filing cabinet, manila folders or hanging folders, and we had January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, all the way to December. And what we would do is each month we would move people. So here's a good structured SOI follow-up plan. Okay, it's a 40 touch plan per year. I got this from Brian Eisenhower. I used to coach with Brian Eisenhower. I don't anymore, but I love Brian's teaching, and I highly suggest people want one-on-one coaching, choose an ICC coach. They're amazing. Brian has an amazing company. I got this from him years ago. The 40 touch plan. I might have modified it a little bit because I don't like so many emails, but the 40 touch plan is roughly 26 emails a year. 12 mailers a year, and these are to your sphere of influence. These are your biggest fans, maybe your big, people that know you by name, and 2 phone calls per year or text messages, just 2 active lead generate. What is all of that? Your CRM can do 99% of it. What your CRM can't do, which these days with AI, they might be able to do this pretty soon, but I don't know if I do that and have my AI call my grandma. But 2 phone calls a year, that's it. So that's every 6 months at minimum. Unless they say they're going to buy, then you move that up. So those old folders, we would take them and we'd be like, okay, so today's January. This is January. I'm going to pull out January. I'm going to be calling everyone in here and I'm going to separate it for the whole month so that every day I have a follow-up plan to call these people. I'm going to be calling them on a structured daily schedule starting at 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. That's my lead generation time. I'll schedule appointments in the afternoon. Okay. So, because most people are more likely to answer the phone, those are statistics in the morning. So that's why it's good to do the lead generation in the morning. So then we have that file. I pull it out, I segregate them for the whole month. I'm calling them and I'm moving them and putting them in other files based on my conversation. I might move them and put them into the March file. Okay, this is January. I might move them and put them in the 6 month file, which would be June or July, somewhere around there. But I'm going to move them in the file based on when they say they're going to buy, or if they're not going to buy, and I just need to check in with them. So now I'm checking in with my people. Now we got to do one important thing. We got to feed the machine, and that's trying to find 5 new people per week to add to the database. How do you do that? Open houses, door knocking, client events, going to maybe a BNI group and visiting those, or some sort of networking group where I can meet more people and industry professionals. They call that B2B, business to business relationships. And those people go in that SOI as well. My vendors go in my SOI. They're vendors. They can potentially give me a referral. So I'm going to be adding them in there. So the 40 contact plan, if you have, and that was the old hanging files before we had CRMs. So for me, using a whiteboard, I've just always done it. That's my way of doing it. They're my biggest fans. And so I have 2 things here. One, there's a thing called, if you made it last week I talked about, if you didn't, it's on my YouTube page, and I'll send you the link here in a minute. It's basically a podcast I put it on. It was about 4 disciplines of execution. So there's 4 disciplines. Discipline number 1 is having a wildly important goal instead of many goals. Discipline number 2 is I'm going to screw it up. It is act on the lead measures, not the lag measures. The lead measures, not the lag measures. We all want more lag measures. Lag measures are, I already got them pre-approved and I'm out showing houses. Lag measure, it's not under contract yet, but it's kind of a gray area. So they need an important follow-up or I'll lose them. But that's not future business I don't already have. I already have it. So it's a lag measure. That's what I say. Some other coaches might say different. To me, the lead measures are future business you don't have yet. That's the active phone calls. That's the open houses. That's the door knocking. That's the live phone calls to for sale buyers and expireds, or just stopping by their house and introducing yourself. They go over here, lead measures. Now, once they go under contract, they go over here under the lag measures. I do have more under contract right now. I think I've got, I don't know, 8, 7. If you count some team leads, so probably more than that. But these are just, this one needs to be updated, I'll be honest with you. So this one needs to be updated. So Ryan Clifton is a lag measure, already under contract, already have them. Okay, so it's a listing lead. These over here are going to be going under contract, so they'll be moving over here to the lag measure. So that's how kind of I move it around on there, lead versus lag. The lead are the most important people that are going to be buying for sure. I just don't know when, or it could be this week, could be next week, could be next month. But they're the hottest ones. Go on the whiteboard. Lead measures. Focusing on the lead, not the lag. The lag is not the 4 disciplines execution number 3 is keeping a compelling scoreboard. A compelling scoreboard is a scoreboard that actually you can't keep score on the lag. There's lag measures of closed escrows, right? They're already under contract, they're closed escrows. They go on my scoreboard, but they're not trackable like lead measures. I can say I am going to contact 50 people this week, and I can track that to make sure I stay on task to do it. I can't say I'm going to close 5 escrows this month. It's only going to happen if I track the lead measures, if I hit my lead measures. That's the only way that 5 escrows are going to happen. That's it. There's no other secret sauce to it. And so as long as I can stay on track and continue to hit those lead measures, continue to contact my, 20 people a day, I suggest that's 100 people a month. That's shooting for 20 people to talk to today. As long as I can track that and hit it, I'm going to close 5 escrows next month, no doubt about it. But I can't guarantee the escrows, but I can guarantee the phone calls. That's the difference. I can guarantee that I can make the contacts. It's me that's going to fail. If I choose not to do it, if I choose to go do something else or be lazy one day or something, that's the fail. Anyway, kind of went on a tangent. Hope that all makes sense. Let's see. So I'm going to jump back over here because this is a really fun document, courtesy of ICC. I have a lot of ICC stuff because I've just been a big fan of Brian for many years. And it talks a little bit about the SOI, your sphere of influence. It's your book of business that you're building. Okay, it's a book of business. And here's the fun part about the SOI that I told somebody a while back and they didn't know about this. Your book of business is worth money. You can sell it someday. That's an eye opener for a lot of people. If you think about an insurance agent that owns an insurance business, at the end of their job, they decide they want to get out of insurance, so they have a book of business they can sell to another insurance agent. It's names, it's current policies, it's like it's addresses, phone numbers, it's everything in there, and it actually has documented what the last conversation was with them, where they're at, if you have a good person that's entering that information or if it's you. And real estate is no different. We have a database. It's a CRM. If you have a really good CRM, it doesn't matter what CRM you use. What matters is you use it. That CRM that you choose to use needs to have good notes about your last conversation, alerts when they need to be contacted again, very easy to do. It needs to have the past sales you sold documented in there. It needs to have where they currently live, address, email address, all that good information. And if you have it, I've been approached twice in my career. One from some random agent in Washington wanted to sell me their database of nurtured leads of past sales for $100,000, worth $100,000. I had an old person I used to work with years ago at a Keller Williams that moved to Southern California, and he wanted to sell me his for $150,000. And I know him really well. He's the guy that puts a headset on and sits in his office every day and makes phone calls. That's his business. It's been extremely successful. And he leaves notes, follow up with his CRM is, I know as a fact, worth $150,000. And so I offered him up. I said, how about this? I will buy your database because I know it's good, but I want to pay you out of closings throughout the year for up to 5 years. You will get paid a percentage of everything I close in your database up to 5 years. He went with someone else. Yeah. It was a great idea though. I thought it was a good idea. Could have bought that business. That would have quadrupled, if not, 10 times more my sales. if I would have been able to strike a deal with him on that database because it was so amazingly nurtured. So a good SOI database, a good database is worth money. It's your sphere of influence. Everyone has an SOI. We all do. Even if your SOI is in another state, it doesn't matter because those people know somebody that's going to move to your area. And here's the other thing. There are agents in this nation that make millions of dollars a year. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but I could research them and find them. They make millions of dollars a year off of referrals. 25% referral, referring somebody to New York, referring someone to Florida, Tennessee, Texas. And so that database in another state is worth money. You need to nurture them. You need to call them, especially if they're from California. You know they're going to move to Idaho, right? It's really a good database, doesn't matter where they live. I had somebody that was from the Azores, and they said, no, my people are in Azores. I said, believe it or not, people in Azores know somebody in the United States. They should be contacted, told you're a realtor, and eventually they're going to introduce you to people in California, or I'm sorry, in the United States, and you're going to add them to your database, and now you're going to have more people starting to happen in. But start where you know people. Start in the area that you know people, and start nurturing those leads. Those are your SOI. So by definition, your SOI is everyone that knows you, who you are, and knows you by name. That means that they have met you before and they still remember who you are today. I was sitting with an agent coaching them, and she ends up stopping and talking to someone at the table across the way. And then she walked over and sat at the table, and this was a coaching, like she wanted to coach with me. And so we're sitting there talking, and I go, yeah, so who's that? She goes, I can't remember her name, but she stopped me and talked to me and just acted like she knew me and she knew my name. I'm like, okay, did you say, my goodness, I'm having a total brain for it. Forgive me. I can't remember your name, but I know you. She goes, no, I was nervous to do that. Why? You're no better off right now than you were then. If you would have just done it, ripped the band-aid off, had a great conversation with her, you could have added her name to your database, and now she's an SOI. So that's an important thing about being bold in this business too. This is a cutthroat business. You're going to negotiate hard deals. You're going to lose hard deals because of poor negotiations. You're going to learn your lesson. You're going to move forward, do better next time, and it's going to grow and grow and grow and grow. That's negotiations, a big one. So that goes also with working with your SOI and being bold with your SOI. If you can't remember their name and you run into them at the supermarket or somewhere, ask them their name. Get to know them. Spend some time with them, and now they're in your database. Okay. Inbound internet leads that you have never met before in a relationship is considered a watered down SOI. Residents of a neighborhood or community that you have never met, watered down SOI. Members of a company or organization that you have not known individually. Buyer or seller leads from years ago whom you do not remember their name, watered down SOI. So you have all of these as what we call buckets. These are all buckets. I call them buckets at least. And these are buckets that you get to basically fish out of every day. They're buckets full of fish. They're literally full of fish. And you get to get in there. Well, they're people, okay, but I'm calling people fish. Sorry, that's bad. You get to get in there and nurture relationships with every one of these people and turn them into your database that's worth money someday. I love it. All right. A large number of agents with many years of experience will complain about having such a large database that they're unable to utilize them to their potential or do anything with them. These watered down SOIs are simply too big and unmanageable, and our goal is to get them manageable. So we scrub them. So if you want to know what your job should be every single day, it's scrubbing the floor. No, scrubbing your database. Scrubbing it. You're doing that every day. You're scrubbing it. Scrub, 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 scrub. Get more people in there. Here. This is also courtesy of Eisenhower Coaching. So who do you know in this list? Who do you know? Accountants, alarms, security companies, appraisers, appliances, stores. I'll say B2B is kind of the funnest way to get into real estate because they're business owners too. They need your business just as much as you need theirs. So they need your business. So they're going to be reaching out to you. They're going to be potentially reaching out to you
I'm gonna
once
sit
they
here.
find out. What's that? Oh, they're going to be reaching out to you typically before you can reach out to them. But who can they reach out doesn't matter. So BNI groups I love because BNI groups they actually really want you to do one-on-ones. And I'm all for it. I don't have enough time in the day to do a million of them, but that is a great thing to remember. You don't have to be in a BNI group to do that. But to have one-on-ones with the business owners is how you get more leads. One thing with BNI is they don't believe in the asking for the sell. They believe, which is fine. That's a great way of doing it. They believe in um, you you help other people for the purposes of helping them and watch what happens in return. You get referrals. The way real estate coaches and business coaches do it is they say, there's a thing called you owe me one. I kind of like the BNI way better, but I've used the "oh, you owe me one" before and actually got a lead out of it. Construction friend of mine, I gave him a job and I said, he goes, "Yeah, thank you for that job, man. It was great. It worked well. I served, I helped them out." I'm like, "Awesome. Guess what? You owe me one. Who do you know that wants to buy?" And he goes, "Man, that's bold." And I'm like, "Well, if I don't ask, then how do I know?" And he goes, "You're right. I got someone for you." And he gave me a lead right there. Right there. That happened last year. So the you owe me one does work. If you give out enough leads to other people, they want to help your business too. But that's the way of coaching says is you need to ask for it. If you don't ask for business, you won't get it. So this is the one I was trying to show up a minute ago. If you put everyone in your database into a two-letter plan, anyone with the last name of A and W, B and E, D and O, H and V, C and K, and this shows the US population of people that have that last name with that percentage. Annual property analysis is a great way to do it. So you can keep changing it. So this is just a suggestions. So call, text, theme, ideas. Okay. Uh, week one, this week, I'm going to hit everyone with the last letter of A and W. If I don't have very many people with the last letter, the last name of A and W, then I can add B and E, D and O, H and V into that week. And everyone's going to get a call, and I'm going to offer up what's called an annual property analysis. Annual property analysis is kind of like an insurance agent checking in with their policyholders to say, "Hey, let's go over your policies. Do you have 15 minutes? Let's just go over what you have, and we'll see if there's anything that might actually be more cost effective for you." How's that sound? Great. Let's meet at 5 o'clock. We can do it via Zoom, or we can just do a phone call. My insurance agent, he like Mark Jensen, he likes to call me once a year and do not an annual property analysis, but an annual analysis of my portfolios of investments that I have. And he goes over them and he tells me if we want to make any adjustments, now's the time, let's do it. So that's what an annual property analysis is. Anyone that owns a house, you don't have to have sold them the house. You're just going to call everyone this week and you're going to ask them, "Hey, I know you own your home. I've been doing this thing with all my friends and family, just kind of going over your portfolio of real estate investments and showing you so far how much money you've made on your house." Now, that's something I came up with, not ICC. That I said the money made because to me, people are surprised. And when I say this to people, and I do say this to people, they're like, "How much money I made?" What do you mean money? Yeah, your house is an investment. You've made money on it. Your money that you used to buy that house, your down payment is still your money. It's sitting there in your house. It's in your equity. And you're making money off of that money every single year, typically. The last 3 years has been a little tough, but in most areas, it's still the values went up. So I go over, there's about 4 different stages to this. Stage one is we go over the entire industry, the entire United States. We hit it all. Okay. Stage two is we're going to go over the state. We hit the state. Okay. Stage three, we're going to hit their city. Neighborhood is stage four. Okay. We're going to hit their neighborhood. So we're breaking it down and we're going to go over all 4 of those with them. And you can create kind of like a listing presentation, like a packet that you can give them that's all highlighted with you and all that. And in there, you can add all these stats and values in there. And then you're just going to give it to them. You're going to mail it to them or drop it off at their house. And that way it sits on their countertop for about a week. And when friends come over and they see it, they'll go, "Are you selling your house?" "No, this is just something that my friend Joe does for all of his people that he knows. He just kind of goes over and tells them how much money they've made on their house so far." "What? I want to know." "Okay, let me give you Joe's number." You see how that works, guys? The more breadcrumbs you leave out in the industry, friends see it. Friends see it. There's this thing called send out cards, and it's actually a multi-level marketing, but you can just do it if you get online and get on sendoutcards.com. We used to do this where you can, if you close a house, you can put the house on there, giving the family the keys in front of the house with you. It goes on the card. Okay. You enter in a little message and you say, congratulations on selling your house. And you send them that card as a closing gift, kind of like a closing gift. That card ends up being on their mantle for months. And everyone sees it, looks at it. Guess who it's branded by on the back? Your name, your company, and all their friends just saw it, leaving the bread trail everywhere you go. This is fun, guys. This is not hard. This business is not hard. The hard part about it is you doing it, making yourself do it each day, putting yourself to work each day. Sticking to the time blocks that you said you're going to be doing this stuff each day. Your calendar's your boss. Your boss puts you to work. Your boss is the calendar. And if it's in the time block, you better show up on time. Start on time and then leave on time. Okay. And that means clock out when you need to clock out. Otherwise, if you don't have that structure of a schedule, you're going to be just flying by the seat of your pants, hoping things happen. Structure is key.